Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, and thank you all very much for being here with us on this exciting day. We're honored to be joined today by Congressman David Cicilline and hopefully soon by Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez. We're also joined by several amazing international LGBT activists, as well as our new Alturi Board of Directors. And we're all here today to really celebrate the launch of Alturi, which is our new organization dedicated to improving the lives of LGBT people globally. And we're fortunate here in the United States. We've made a lot of progress in the last 10, 25, even 1 year this year on respect and equality for LGBT people. There's still a lot of work to be done, of course, but we do have the opportunity, I think, for the first time to start looking beyond our borders and thinking about the situation for LGBT people in so many countries where it's still illegal even to be gay or lesbian in nearly 80 countries, punishable by death in more than 8, and in many, many more countries, LGBT people have absolutely no rights or protections from violence and discrimination against them. So we have been working hard to create a solution to help with that. It's called Alturi. It's an online platform to educate people on the situation facing LGBT people globally and to give them an opportunity to join in support, either moral support or financial support. And the platform is designed to connect people to the international activists who are doing this great work. Welcome, Congressman Sanchez. And we're excited to have some of those activists, and you're going to hear from them a little bit later. And we've also put together 2 amazing boards of directors for Alturi, and we'll recognize them a little later as well. But in the meantime, I would like to introduce my co-founder of Alturi, Charlie Grounds.
Always strange as a Minnesotan to be here amongst the power. I'll be very brief. As we all know, the situation for LGBT people globally is not good. And what we've tried to do differently with Alturi is bring together the best that are out doing the work on the ground in one specific place. And I really think I want to thank our partner organizations. First of all, thank you to Human Rights First. That was played a critical role in getting our leaders here today to speak. So thank you, 3 in the back row. But it's all the partners on Alturi. I think if you look at activism, whether it's around the environment, whether it's around women's issues globally, it is, I believe, the first time that we've had organizations come together in one place that are working around the globe, so that when somebody in this country that really doesn't know where Kyrgyzstan is can come to one site, look at what's going on in that country today, and then see who on the ground, and it might be multiple organizations. And that's why I really do want to thank our partner organizations on Alturi that have come together and said, we do all want to be in one place. We want to bring forward what our role is in this global fight. And in doing so, I believe we're going to have a better opportunity to engage U.S. citizens in understanding truly what this fight's about. So thank you all for being here. I would very much like to introduce Roddy Flynn, who's the Executive Director of the Congressional LGBT Equality Caucus. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm here just to speak very briefly about, so my name is Roddy Flynn, the Executive Director of the Congressional LGBT Equality Caucus, and to lead into two of my 77 bosses, who leadership on these issues is really extraordinary. Representative Cicilline and Representative Loretta Sanchez. You know, it's an unfortunate reality that so many LGBT people across this world face discrimination and violence, and we hear these horrible stories. But we also hear a lot of positive stories. We hear about gains made in Nepal in their new constitution. We hear about now how LGBT people in China can recover in court for so-called conversion therapy damage. And what's key is that we're able to connect all of these communities together. places where it's going very well, places where it's more of a struggle. And Alturi will provide, as an organization, more ways to connect between these spread out LGBT organizations and to amplify messages of leaders on these issues. And two such leaders, as I mentioned before, are Representative Loretta Sanchez from California and Representative David Cicilline from Rhode Island, two members of the Equality Caucus. Representative Cicilline, of course, is the co-chair of the Equality Caucus. And they talk about LGBT issues wherever they go. Their dedication to worldwide equality, their willingness to raise these far too often ignored issues, time and time again, is inspiring and vital to LGBT equality. So with that, without any more ado, I will introduce our Representative David Cicilline.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. First, to congratulate Steve and Charlie on the launch of Alturi, and also to be, of course, with my wonderful colleague Loretta Sanchez in California. I also want to acknowledge Oleg Tomalin, Angeline Jackson for their work, and many of the other folks who are here, particularly Human Rights First. This is really exciting because, as has been mentioned, we've made some progress in our own country, and I think some significant progress. Some people think we've made it very quickly, other people have been laboring for a long time in this area, but nonetheless we've made progress on the issue of marriage equality and employment non-discrimination, and we've been celebrating some victories, and we should celebrate those victories. But if we look at the condition that members of the LGBTI community face around the world, they still, as a community, face horrific abuse, harassment, denial of health care, and pervasive discrimination, and sometimes significant violence. We're talking about places around the world where members of our community are not talking about marriage equality, but they're talking about the right to live without fear of violence, the right to see a doctor, the right to walk down the street safely, and to be protected from harassment and abuse. As was also mentioned, in nearly 80 countries, it is still a crime to be a member of the LGBTI community, with penalties ranging from fines to imprisonment. And in 10 countries, same-sex activity is punishable by death. So we have significant work to do around the world. In Russia, we saw last year, supporters of President Vladimir Putin push for new legislation to remove children from their home if their parents were or suspected of being members of the LGBT community. Members of our community have been aggressively targeted in places like Uganda and Nigeria. And just this past week, we sadly learned of reports that ISIS had executed 10 people in Syria, including a 15-year-old boy, because they were gay. But in addition to some of these really awful examples, we also have a lot of work to do with our allies around the world and our friends. I think everyone was very disturbed last summer when we saw images of police shooting water cannons at a pride parade in Istanbul, which had occurred annually for more than a decade without incident. In 19 European countries, including France, Belgium, and Italy, transgender individuals are required to undergo sterilization and surgery before they're legally allowed to change their gender. And so those are just some examples. And so while we've seen some progress in our own country, there is a tremendous amount of work to be done around the world to ensure that members of the LGBTI community are afforded the same protections and the same rights as every other human being. And the United States, along with all of the responsible countries in the world, has a responsibility to condemn horrific acts of discrimination and targeted violence against individuals, especially egregious offenses based on sexual orientation or gender identity. And that's why, as was mentioned a moment ago, I introduced the Global Respect Act, which is intended to protect basic human rights of members of our community by making it impermissible to grant visas to individuals who have engaged in serious acts of human rights violations against members of the LGBT community, and requires the State Department to deny visas to foreigners who have committed or incited gross violations of human rights against LGBT individuals, and thereby preventing them from at least traveling to the United States. It requires the State Department as well to report on these violations and related issues in their annual human rights report. I'll end by just saying that fairness and equality and prohibiting discrimination are really core values of our nation's founding. And as Americans, we have a responsibility not only to speak out against discrimination and intolerance, but to take action to eradicate it. And throughout our history, I think we've done it in a proud way. We've stood up for equal rights for everyone, and that's why it's very important that as we do this work from the government side, that we have strong partners in the private and nonprofit sector, so that working together we can really effectively respond to this kind of discrimination and violence and unfairness all over the world. And I'm really excited to be here to celebrate the launch of this great new organization that I know is going to help us do this work more effectively. So thank you to everyone who's been a part of it, and I look forward to continuing our work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congressman Cicilline. And now we'd like to welcome Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez, my home state of California.
Great, thank you. Congratulations, Alturi. Congratulations. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here celebrating your founding and to let the world know what this community is doing and how important the voice is for so many outside of the United States with respect to the issues that we face with respect to discrimination. So my colleague, his great colleague from Rhode Island, alluded a little to the fact that with respect to civil rights in the United States, we have been fighting for the LGBTQ community for a long, long time. In my own area, you said you were Californian, Prop 22, Prop 8, I mean, just really nasty fights that we've had and we have overcome. And as it should be, civil rights are incredibly important to each and every American. And yes, we have in recent years had some big wins in this community. We have more to do. Discrimination in the workplace we know exists, still in about 37 states that don't have laws, and therefore we need something at the federal level to protect those in the workplace. And so many other issues that over time, I am sure, I see the rapid ability for us to address here in this country. But I will also tell you that I have been a big fighter with respect to human rights. So civil rights in the U.S. become human rights outside of the U.S. And I've got to tell you, I'm blacklisted not to enter into a pretty good amount of countries like North Korea and Iran and some others that are not happy with the fact that we have continued to put forward the issues, the human rights issues. And so, to have an organization founded and to understand that we need to be the voice for the voiceless in so many other countries, congratulations. Really are due to you. I want to point out my own Greg Willenberg, who has been on the forefront of many of these issues. And I've been by his side for the last 20 years doing this. It's important. You know, eliminating Don't Ask, Don't Tell on the Armed Services Committee, where I said, well, it's an important message to send to Americans and to the rest of the world when it comes to discrimination in the workplace, because certainly we were doing that. I'm a vocal supporter of transgender in the military, and you know, I'm known as the first sitting member of Congress to invite Transgender Coalition to come in and talk to me and take a meeting so many years ago. I'm very proud of the fact that we are marching together to do the right thing. So we are pushing each and every single day up here in the Congress, and I am thrilled to have Alturi stand with us, help us to, one, get the message to the community around the world that we will stand with them, and two, to have a body of work that will help us hand in hand, right? Work these issues around the world. Because anybody that is denied a human right is denying us our human rights. Thank you, Alturi, and congratulations.
it's my pleasure to introduce three amazing activists who are really on the front lines of the work, of all this work that we're talking about, from very different parts of the world, very different stories and situations. I'll let them tell you more. First, we have Oleg Tomlin, who came to the United States last year to escape gay persecution in Russia. Before leaving, Oleg and his partner Maxim faced repeated acts of violence from neighbors in the city of Voronezh. 2 months after they arrived, they were married in Washington, D.C. They now are in the process of seeking asylum. Please help me welcome Oleg Tomlin.
Good morning, and thank you, Sean, for inviting me to this incredible event. I never expected to participate in such an event in my life. I just want to say a few words about the present situation in Russia, as I'm still in the process of waiting for my interview with the USCIS, and it looks like it'll take in 2 years, place only. The situation is like that. I'm still collecting the links to different articles published online regarding the situation with LGBT in Russia. And right now I have 3 sheets of paper with links only, and I started collecting in this January. So you see the situation is not getting well. So I'll just tell some words about the latest development, what happened, what is happening right now in Russia. On April 29th, the prosecutor of Khabarovsk approved the indictment against Andrei Marchenko. He's a blogger and LGBTI activist in Russia, charging him with public incitement of extremism and attempts to make a gay terrorist underground. So yeah, now Andrei is waiting for the court, and as of September 28th, the state prosecutor wants him to be exiled for 2 years to a penal settlement. So I don't know what will happen this week. I think something terrible. As for Yermoshkin, another person who was charged with the same creating gay terrorist underground in Khabarovsk, he was a school teacher and he was quite a prominent professor in the university, but he made coming out in an interview to a local journalist. After that he was fired, and after that he was persecuted, he was brutally attacked. Then on the night of July 1st this year, Russian state-owned TV channel Russia 1 showed a documentary movie under the name Toxic Export, and accusing Yermoshkin of collaborating with unnamed US intelligence services. So he had to hide with his friends for some place, and he was lucky to escape to the US, and now, as far as I know, he is looking for asylum here, and he's in San Francisco. So next good development. On September 25th, VKontakte, this is the biggest Russian social networking like Facebook here, banned the group called Children 404. This is the only Russian group supporting LGBT teenagers, on the basis that the founder of this group, Lena Klimova, she's a famous journalist, promoting non-traditional relations to minors, and it's prohibited according to the Russian laws. So now this group is banned. Lena is fined, and she was fined repeatedly, so nobody knows what will happen to her and to the group in the nearest future. In August and July, 2 prominent LGBT activists, one from Taliati, that Konstantin Golova, and one from Moscow, Irina Fet, were forced to leave Russia because they were persecuted. They were charged again with terrorism and everything. Irina was brutally attacked, and now they are looking at asylum. Konstantin is in Sweden and Irina is in Luxembourg. And one last development. Officials in Russia's Kirov region have brought an administrative case against Apple, the maker of iPhone, for illegally promoting homosexuality. So yeah, the evidence against Apple is the set of images included with iOS 8.3, which contains several images depicting families with same-sex parents, gay pride flags, and more. So the case was opened in August, and now these images are sent to forensic experts, and the analysis shows that Apple's images do in fact promote homosexuality to minors. The company faces a fine ranging from 800,000 to 1 million rubles. That's around $12,000 American dollars. And in theory, the authorities can ban Apple in Russia for promoting homosexuality. So this is the latest developments only for these 2 months. So thank you, and thanks again to Sean and to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Oleg. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to introduce Samia Bhatti, who is a transgender woman from Pakistan who's faced a series of challenges to achieve recognition as a woman. She worked in the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad 3 months before coming to the U.S. as a refugee, and was Pakistan's first transgender woman who won a legal case to get medical procedures, as well as the U.S. State Department's first transgender woman with local and American staff around the world who came out as trans and was able to transition. So please help me welcome Samia Bhatti, who will tell you more about her story.
Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure to be here and to speak about some of the issues in Pakistan and how I, win the case, the legal case, and how I, did my transition in a conservative and challenging environment. So in 2007, first time I came to know in a newspaper there's a trans man in one of the cities in Pakistan who has been sued, and the doctor who did a surgery on him also sued. So that was the point I came to know that I'm not the only one. There are others who are having some kind of issues in Pakistan. Later, I searched out and tried to meet the people, like I can meet more trans person in Pakistan. So like I went to the hospitals, to the psychiatric department, they say yes, people are here, but they won't come out. They have persecutions, they have fears, they have, they fear somebody can kill them. So it is very hard, you can find. So I actually wanted this, I have the same issue, so I should make a support group and do something to do, to tackle the problems. Like I met the doctors, different people, they say the only issue before the transition is a legal issue. So we are ready to do the surgery, but our law do not permit us. So what I had to do, I was just, thought about the solutions, what should I do? So I met with the lawyers. They also said that yes, people come to us, they ask us for the permissions, but we even don't know what the transgender is, what is transsexual. We don't have any information about it. So how can we speak before the judge that this is something, and means this is something which is actual or the genuine thing. So we cannot speak. So I talked to one of the lawyers that I will provide you the information. I will make you knowledgeable about the trans issues, what the transgender is, so that you be enabled to talk to the judge and get the permission. So I started working on that issue and that thing. So I provided all the material, all the information to the lawyer, and by within a few months, that case was so strong, and the judge has no way to refuse my case. So I got the permission, and this was first time in the history. So it was I was very happy that I have got this permission. This is not the profession for me. This is a way for the other trans men and women to get their transition and get their permissions from the court, and they can move ahead now. So I removed that barrier, and then I took a step up forward to get my transition. Those were a lot of challenges like health society acceptance, awareness. So like when some trans woman or man is in a bigger state or going through the transition phases, it's very difficult to go out, and it's a lot of support needed at that critical time. So I had to figure out my own ways. How can I have my own space, safe space? And the trans woman or a man in a conservative society just do not need a safe space. They need space at different phases. So like if trans women remain at one place, safe space, it becomes unsafe after a long time, because people get to know, oh, this is person living here, so this has this, and it becomes a problem. So this was my one of the good thing, and which I did. In addition to this, the U.S. State Department, I was working in the U.S. Embassy, so I came to know this that I am the first one in the embassies around the world, among the local and American staff, and other trans person in the State Department. They came out and they also followed, and they got the courage and they did their sanction. So this was something in the document. I say I have got a surgery. I have become a female. So it is. How is it possible? My documents show me as a male, and physically I am a female. So I got that documents and all the things changed. But now after like this step, in Pakistan there is an awareness that this is something about transgender, that gender can change. People have some awareness. Before that there was no awareness about trans people, that the gender reassignment is a possible thing. They said this is something impossible, or they never heard about it. But now they know about it, but still there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges, like there is no health-related clinics, or there is no counseling. They are not a lot of people still do not have awareness, and legal services are also required, because this is a legal permission for me, but other trans woman comes and seek legal permission, has to court my case, or have to hire legal services. So these things are also required in Pakistan. A lot of financial support to get these things done is also a critical thing. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
And finally, it's my great pleasure to introduce one of our true heroes, and also a member of the Alturi Global Advisory Board, and someone I consider a friend, and that's Angeline Jackson, who is the co-founder and executive director of Quality of Citizenship Jamaica, who at a very young age has already managed to make a great impact in a country that has a lot of challenges for LGBT people, and so much so that her work was recognized publicly by President Obama when he was there in May. So without further ado, let me introduce Angeline Jackson.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for the invitation to be on the Global Advisory Board, and just being able to participate with Alturi from this very beginning. Right. So in 2013, Yala Project and I co-founded Quality of Citizenship in Jamaica. There are many reasons why we started that organization, but two of which were my personal experience with sexual violence, specifically corrective rape, in 2009 when I was 19. And the other reason was recognizing that there was very limited support, services, or even programs for lesbian, bisexual women and trans persons within the Jamaican landscape. We decided that if you keep asking somebody to do something over and over with no change, all you're doing is really hitting your head against the wall, and you will not get change that way. And so it was, if no one will make that change, then we have to make that change for ourselves. With that, we started QCJ. Over the last 2.5 years, we have managed, with very limited funding, to conduct 3 workshops. We've involved about 9 young women who wanted to volunteer with the organization, and have begun in a small way, a kind of leadership development for these volunteers. Because for us, it's about developing more leaders to help with the LGBT movement in Jamaica. And personally, I believe that sometimes the messenger can help, with a good delivery. And so I think women can help largely in the movement of LGBT rights within the Caribbean, because we seem to be a little less threatening, at least to some persons. So QCJ's main work is around education, research, and public visible activism. The education is through the workshops that I mentioned and the leadership training. The research has to do with the fact that there is no data on lesbian, bisexual women in Jamaica. And so, as unscientific as it may be, we do have the only data that exists on the situations and needs of women in the country. And public visible activism has included participating, let me rephrase that, has included conducting and leading 10 stands in Kingston, Jamaica with rainbow flags in the middle of Kingston, raising awareness about LGBT issues and LGBT rights. They've been silent, so we haven't been marching, but we have been standing with signs. And with those three aspects, we have been able to, I think, raise awareness about what's happening in the community, not just as it relates to lesbian, bisexual women, but also trans people and gay men. Because at the end of the day, we are the LGBT community, and as much as our focus is women, we believe that we all have to work together to get where we need to be. It's important for Americans and people around the world to know what's happening in other countries, because awareness helps to build the support on the ground. If I don't know what's happening in St. Lucia, how can I help the people of St. Lucia? So, and that awareness, I think, is where Alturi will come in helping to provide that one space within which all persons can come to and find information about so many other places and what's happening in so many countries. Now, there's many different ways people can support the movement across the world, and we all know that a big part of that support is money. But aside from that, I think that just sharing what's happening, building the awareness beyond just one person, 5 persons. Sometimes it's more than the money. Sometimes it's about how many people you can tell about what's happening that can help to create that groundswell and help to move things forward in the respective countries. But at the end of the day, I believe that the only way you can really support any organization and any movement is by supporting the activists on the ground, not doing it from here. And with that, thank you, and congratulations on a wonderful organization.
Thank you so much, Angelina. We're honored to have you as a member of our board as well. And actually, just as we wrap up, and especially because we're broadcasting this via Periscope, I just would like to recognize all of our amazing board members who are here with us: Angelina Jackson, Jack Harrison Quintana, Chloe Schwenke, Tony Lima, Warren Brown, Martin Diego Garcia, Oscar Yuan, Steve Dumas, and I think that's everyone. And thank you to the Might Associates and Alturi team for everything you've done, and again, Robbie Flynn for helping us put this together. And thank you all, and congratulations.